Um, Pineapple.
Welcome to the first episode of the New York DeMolay podcast. I am your co-host, Brother Leonard Lau, the Metro Region Master Counselor of the state of New York, joined by my other co-host, Brother Brian Ramos, the
That's good.
Deputy Master Counselor of New York.
Hello.
We are joined today with Brother Sam Levin, who was the 49th New York State Master Counselor. Now, that was a lot of words, a lot of brother, state, counselor, DeMolay words. Brian, how about you kick us off?
Yo, what is good, everybody? Um, my name is Brian. Like Leonard said, I am currently the Deputy State Master Counselor of New York DeMolay. And this is the very first New York DeMolay podcast that we are having. I decided to create this sort of podcast for the youth to sort of get to know more people that maybe they can't meet with right now during COVID. During these hard times, I also believe that networking is very important, and this just helps us learn and helps other DMLAs visualize to see what networking is and how they can do it themselves. And we also want to learn about different people that have done so many things for DMLA. And one of those people is with us right now, Brother Sam Levin. Brother Sam, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, like you guys said, I'm Sam Levin. I'm from upstate New York, Saratoga Springs, and I was the 49th State Master Counselor of New York DeMolay. First of all, thank you guys. I'm honored to be the first guest on this podcast. When you guys told me about it, I was super, super excited.
Awesome. All right. So, like I said, this is for those of you watching, this is a podcast, meaning it's not an interview, it's a conversation between us. We're going to sort of try and see what we can learn from Sam with whatever. So, let's kick off with the first question. Brother Leonard, you got any questions for Sam?
So you're originally from, like you said, Saratoga Springs, and that's Washington chapter, if I'm correct. So tell me more about your chapter. Just like the size of it and your brothers, memorable brothers, and just your memories, just everything.
So in Washington chapter, when it started, it was a lot smaller than it is now. When I joined, it was really just Brother Zach Williams and a couple of other boys. It was really just 4 or 5 guys. And as I joined, and I'm going to a different school than Zach and all of them, at least when we went to high school around here. So I had a lot of more people, and our chapter grew a lot. More recently, our chapter, the lodge the building that we're in with the lodges and all the other Masonic bodies that are there, we actually moved buildings to another lodge, which was kind of a trip for us. It's a little bit further away from me, but that's how DeMolay works. It's closer to some people, further away. But yeah, that's been really interesting. I've got to meet a lot of other Masons from the other lodges that were meeting at that building. And it's been an interesting journey.
And it's interesting that you mentioned Zach Williams, because I couldn't imagine Zach Williams just young, because I've only met him, when he's an adult, and he was past Master Counselor, and he's super tall, and I think he got engaged or he's married right now. So I can't imagine him as a kid. And I know you're tight with him. And are you tight with like Peter Stokey? Like, did you guys grow up together, or you guys were just tight through DeMolay?
That's Stokey.
Dad Stokey and Dad Williams. Dad Williams isn't engaged or married, but I don't know if I'm going to spill beans, but he told me the other day he is moving to California to be with his girlfriend out there, actually. But so that's really interesting. And I geographically, I was never close to Pete. I never really met Dad Stokey. I never really met him until I started doing some more state stuff. But as you guys, of course, know, I was his deputy, and we were region master counselors together, actually. So I got to know him there, and we traveled a lot, and I got to become really good friends with him. And I still talk to him a lot. Like I said, him and Zach and I, and a lot of the other PSMCs were on the phone the other night.
Interesting. Awesome. Yeah. So before we get into a little bit about the state stuff, I want to first tell you that Leonard and I were kind of brought into DeMolay through our dads, because our dads were Masons, and also his dad was a DeMolay in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it could be different. It's different for everyone. So what does that look like for you? How did you find DeMolay? What made you want to join?
For me, it was my dad as well. Actually, he was a Mason. Him and his father actually joined around the same time, I believe, because they found out that my great grandfather, who I'm named after, Samuel,
Cool.
was actually a Mason, and so my dad and my grandfather joined together and kind of did that. And then when my dad was in lodge and he moved here and he was talking to uh, Dad Williams the older, Dad Bill Williams, and about Zach and DeMolay, and they kind of my dad was telling me about that, and I had been to the lodge before. I had seen him get installed as Grand Master, and it always something that interested me. And again, you talk about not knowing Zach as a kid, even though I was a kid and he was a kid, he was still old to me. Like he was a big guy in high school, and I was a 13-year-old in middle school. But so I got to join with Zach and all of them, and then really they were the people that brought me up into DeMolay. But my dad was the one that introduced me.
And you actually became a Mason like late 2019, December. Was it in the same lodge as your grandfather?
No, it was actually in the new lodge that our DeMolay chapter had moved to as well. Yeah, and I got my first and second degrees done, and then COVID kind of messed it up. I haven't got to do my third one yet, but hopefully that'll be soon. And yeah, it was really interesting.
Wow. Well, I remember when Leonard and I were young, we would always see each other we call it the 19th floor of the Grand Lodge in New York, which is now an office, unfortunately, but that's literally where we grew up. And I remember I would always bring my toys, like my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, my Beyblade. So
Bakugan.
I want to ask, yeah, Bakugan, stuff like that. So I want to ask, when you were a kid before, getting into DeMolay, what were things that you liked?
Oh man. Well, I was always into music as a kid, just because my mom's a music teacher. So I mean, it's kind of I'm looking over because it's half of it's over there and half of it's in with my friends in Syracuse. But I got a drum set when I was really little because I play the drums, and that was I mean, you talk about playing and stuff. That was what I would do a lot, is just jam around on the drums and stuff. And even now, it's something I continue. I just picked up a bass and an amp, and I've been slowly teaching myself bass and trying to figure out some bass lines and stuff so I can just jam with my siblings and my parents and stuff. So yeah, music a lot, and I don't know, sports and stuff as a kid were always interesting.
Yeah, you did lacrosse in high school, right?
Yeah, I played lacrosse in high school and hockey. Not for my high school. My high school didn't have a hockey team, but hockey was my it was like a rec league travel team sort of thing. But hockey was my main sport that I really enjoyed.
Wow.
Awesome.
Musically gifted and physically gifted. Amazing.
Well, thank you.
All right. So yeah. So what age did you join DeMolay?
Oh, I joined DeMolay in I know it was October. I believe it's 2013. I know I was or I believe I just turned 12 or I was 13. It was young. It was right near the age where you can start joining.
All right. So let's see. Leonard, any other questions?
So now with Zach Williams and Dad Williams the second and Dad Stokey, you went to international session in Kansas City, right? How was that like? As a devout, like a very serious DeMolay, that's like a dream. Like my father, I remember he went there and he just took so many pictures of like Frank Esland's like desk, and he was fangirling.
Dadland.
Yeah, the I was there for the session in Kansas City was absolutely amazing, and I had got to go the year before that. That was my second session, so I knew like the schedule at least and how the Congress was going to go and everything. So I was really free. There's less stress on me to think about some of those things. But Kansas City, the DeMolay offices and stuff they have there are absolutely amazing. Like you said, going to see Frank Esland's desk and stuff, that was crazy. And even the fountain and all the bricks they had laid there, there's a brick for I think our chapter has a brick, and my grandfather, we put in a brick for him there. So I got to see those, and that was really special to me. So that trip was absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the DeMolay Congress stuff. to have all those guys in one room from all over the world. That weekend I hung out a lot with the guys from Brazil. We walked all over the Kansas City. Kansas City is pretty flat. So we got in those bird scooters and we were riding around the whole city. And it was the middle of the summer, and it was kind of a college town, but you could see all the stadiums and all the nightlife that would be up and running if there was like a lot of kids there and stuff. So it was really, really cool to see just the city and all the DeMolay stuff.
Oh man, I really want to go to international stuff because we have like 30 countries, 30 countries that are DeMolay chapters in, and I believe we recently, like last year, we opened one in Tokyo. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like their formal wear is like if you think like kind of Ronin attire, that's their formal wear. I was like, wow, you would think business suits, but no, that's their, I guess, ceremonial wear that they would wear during the meetings, and it's just it's amazing, just how diverse DeMolay is, and like you said, we all come from different paths, but we all come together in DeMolay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a big thing that I've learned is that, like in DeMolay, you come together a lot. Like even, I mean, the broader scale of session is great to think about because you have people all over the world, but even New York stuff, I'm amazed. Like, I would have never met you guys if I wasn't for DeMolay. You guys are some amazing people.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. Oh, well, I want to go back a little bit to, when you first joined DeMolay. And in my opinion, there's always that experience that you experience. There's always that experience that you experience that makes you think that, or makes you realize that DeMolay is a lot bigger than it is. For example, for me, I used to think, oh, it's just a thing I go on Saturdays, right? Just a meeting that I would go to see Leonard, blah, blah, blah. But after I did my first obligation, after I not even like passed, I don't know if I passed on the first time, but after like attempting it for the first time, I realized, oh, my heart was pumping. I was really nervous, and that meant I really cared. And from then on, I realized that, oh, maybe this is something bigger. Maybe this is something I can sort of take advantage of to help me in the future. Did you ever have that kind of experience that made you go from this to this in DeMolay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a multitude that I can give an example of if I really, really sat down and thought about it. But even you just talking about doing your obligations, that it reminds me of, like, on a broader scale, I've had a feeling very similar at ritual competitions like Maytalk, the
you went to Maytalk.
champions, and to go and to see people from all over the region doing that exact same thing, getting ready to do their parts, and everybody's nervous and they're all trying to get as many points as possible and to really honor the ritual and what they've written and what it means to us. So when I was there, it was really sort of the same thing, that this hearing the flower talk done like very, very well is a really, like, it's one of those things that it's symbolic. Yeah, it really is. It's deep and symbolic if it's done right with the right sentiment and emotion. So that's one of the things that made me realize that DeMolay was just a little bit more. I mean, it's more to us,
Exactly. And I'm sure you've been asked this like a bunch of times. Leonard and I have been asked it, during now. But favorite preceptor?
Oh, mine's always comradeship.
Comradeship? Why?
Yeah, because the ceremonial light's my favorite ceremony, and that's the one. Comradeship's 4. That's the one that's lit. It doesn't go out.
Oh, really? I'm actually planning on memorizing that. I mean, obviously, but like eventually. What do you think? Have any tips?
It's a good ceremony to learn. I learned it. I don't know if you guys know, but I actually went to a different ritual competition. Oh, I don't remember. It's I can't. It was in Fort Worth, Texas. It was that region down there. I'm not exactly sure the acronym of it either. But if you said it, I would recognize it. But I learned the ceremony light on my plane there, because I just had stuff to do. So I was like, all right, I might I'll learn this on the way, and I was participating, so I got to go, and I had like landed. I got in an Uber. I drove to we were all staying at this, the hotel, whatever complex we were at for May Talk, the ritual competition actually, but they were doing the ceremonies at like the grand or one of the lodge buildings in like the city. So I went straight to the lodge building because I was late to my competition. I had all my bags and stuff with me. So I get into the thing, I put on a suit, and the first thing I did when I got into Texas was do the ceremony of light. And let me tell you, they have you for the ritual competitions, you set up the room for yourself. They have just everything like blanket, like the altar cloth is folded, all the candles are on the side, the flags over there. You have to set everything up. And I've never been in this lodge room before. And so I'm trying to set things up, right? And apparently some people had the same problems because I was watching other people's competitions later, and I watched people like they didn't know which way east was. The room was confusing, and everything was just flipped around backwards. I was like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't end up doing that.
Well, down in Texas, did they do ritual with? Did you hear the accents like predominantly?
Yes, I'm sure I did. Yeah, but it's also, I think it also is more of like, it might be a regional thing about like how much emotion and stuff they put into it, you know, or like the culture behind it. Because I think in the South, or like in some of the regions, I noticed in some of the regions down there, they take the ritual a lot more seriously in some places. Because there's some chapters that go around to those competitions and they'll sweep all of them because they practice and they're really, really, really good.
And I think what I guess I think is that when they do like people with accents, I remember this brother in France who was doing a ritual, and when he recited his part, he said it as if it was just like straight out of the book, you know. So I think with people that they know they have accents, and when I guess advisors, or they know they have to articulate their voices and whatnot, they you know, they have like a certain, I guess I'm trying to say it, but you know, when you raise your voice up and you just have that confidence level, and it's just like that's like the ritual voice, if you know what I mean.
Right.
That's
yeah, I know what you're saying.
quite interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I think that's definitely something you have to practice, that kind of ritual voice, to like put the emphasis in and get the right tone of it. And it really depends on the part that you're doing. But that's what the competitions are about, is to see really who can make it sound the best, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's interesting. But I have another question for you. So when you were master counselor, right? When you became master counselor, do you remember any goals that you had that you strived for? And if so, how did you reach them?
Well, master counselor in my chapter, I know
Right.
I've been master counselor in my chapter twice.
Oh,
And
okay.
the first time I really was striving towards the PMC MSA. I really, really wanted to do that. I remember getting the first letter in was like a big step for me. Like I really wanted to make sure I had it. And creating a term plan and all of that, I really just wanted to make sure I had set it all up for myself, and I wasn't going to be ineligible later, I guess. But it was a long time ago, but as much as I really strived and pushed for it, I didn't end up getting it the first time. I didn't meet the membership requirement at the time. We didn't have enough members in the 6-month period that I was master counselor joined. And I was kind of sad, but I realized that I could always run for master counselor again, and I can try again, and it might be easier next time. But I knew I had run a successful term anyways. I had still gotten new members to join. I just hadn't met the threshold, and I understood that it was going to be a challenge, and it was. And that was kind of a nice lesson for me to just learn that you got to keep pushing. And then the second time I was master counselor, I had a whole term that I had planned before to base my base my term off of to grow upon, on my next term. And I was able to, get my letters in and meet all the requirements. In the second term, I actually did get my PMC MSA. So that was kind of, it's a nice story of, overcoming, and I met the membership goal, and our chapters has grown a lot since my first term as master
I remember that
counselor.
one convention. I was just like, wow, there's so many Washington chapter kids.
Yeah, a lot of that comes from little brothers and stuff, but also we worked really hard to push to get new kids, and yeah, there's all the kids now, even my little brother brother Delisle, Cade Delisle's little brother, they're all pushing for new people and stuff. And I've seen a few new kids in our Zoom meetings even, which has been really, really great.
Awesome.
And they're leading, it's amazing. It's like
Exactly.
And do you know what their positions are in the chapter at the moment?
My little brother is currently the master counselor.
That's what it is, man.
He got installed the other day. Actually, speak of it, brother Delisle installed him over Zoom. I had gotten in a skiing accident, like it was right at the beginning of January, and I was concussed, and I didn't think I was going to be able to recite the part over Zoom. Brother Delisle did it, but I was very honored that he's one of my best friends from back home, so I was really happy that he got to make my little brother the master counselor.
Well, congrats to him.
Yeah.
Well deserved. So what about your state master counselor term? Do you have any goals there, big goals that you achieved that you would like to talk about?
Well, my real goal was one of my big goals was the convention that year. I really wanted to do it at Camp Turk from the beginning. And throughout the year we were able to make that work out, and I was really happy with the way that weekend went, and I really think everybody else had fun. I hope to think everybody else had fun.
I had fun.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
You had a blast. You did great.
Okay, I'm glad that went. Everyone had a good time, but that was really, 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 really what I wanted to do, and I was really happy I got to do that. And doing that was really what the main thing I was pushing for as state master counselor. There's a lot of things that you have going on, and going into it, there's always, going into it, I had so many like little things and big things that I wanted to do, and some of them end up getting, pittered out or whatever. Right. Like one of the other things was the social media that I really, really wanted to get going, and it was just hard to. The Facebook, it works well. But a lot of the new kids aren't on Facebook anymore. So I see you've been pushing the Instagram recently, and I think that's very good. I'm glad it got picked up, because that wasn't one of the things that I got to really, really carry on with, but it all worked out. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I got to work on. The convention was really one of them.
And I think that just when everyone, when our terms as master counselor, we always have this set of things that we want to achieve, and those some things, like you said, they just go on top of each other, big and small. We achieve what we can, and you achieved convention at Camp Turk, and that was a very new experience for a lot of the brothers,
right.
A lot of the veteran brothers as well, like Raphael was there, and he it was just wow. He's never really been to Camp Turk. I've never been to Camp Turk. Brian has been to Camp Turk. I think I aged out when I heard about it, but it's just it was amazing that we got to experience such things. And I saw that you were pushing Facebook during your term, a Facebook group, the announcements, the happy birthdays all the time. And though it was not as successful in your own right, I believe that success is gained on just, like say, like a spectrum or like a scale, and just
success.
You started the dominoes.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I was kind of saying. You guys are working on the Instagram now. It's all progressive growth. That's really what you got to remember. We're always going to be growing. That was my term slogan, was grow DeMolay.
Oh yeah.
Progression and growth that we put in. What you put in is what you get out, and you overall, that's success.
Yeah. what you put in is what you get out is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I hear that
I
everywhere
was
now.
thinking about that. I was like, if you guys ask me one question, that's something I gotta bring up. What you get in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. Because it still applies to my life today. It's really in whatever you do.
Like one of those
what you put
quotes.
in is what you get out. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk about that a bit. So there are probably many young men that are going to be watching this and that maybe want to strive to be part of the state team or eventually the state master counselor. So as a past state master counselor, how much work goes into it and what should they expect?
Well,
That's like a big
That-
deep breath.
that's a big question. Now, I don't want to like dissuade anyone from running for a state position or something, but it is a lot of work. There is a lot of responsibility with it, and it is stressful at times. I can safely say that DeMolay was it was a pretty stressful thing for me at times. You got to give speeches, you got to go in front of other people, but what I've gained from that is that it all happened, and I'm still here. I'm all good. If anything, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and all those little things didn't kill me, so I'm here and I'm stronger. But if I was going to suggest one thing for going into a state position and wanting to get ready, is being able to manage your time well, because you're going to have deadlines and things that you need to work on. For people helping out the state team, if you're wanting to get on into a state position, you might be asked to help with some other projects, so to be ready for that and be willing to help. And yeah, time management and willingness, I think, are big factors.
Yeah, like you said, it may be stressful, but at the end, it's a good experience to have. And who knows, you might not get that opportunity to get an experience like that anywhere else.
Exactly. I can't name anything else that I really was interested in that could have had me travel across the country when I was in high school. That was a truly amazing experience. But even I want to make sure people know it's not all stressful. There's fun parts of DeMolay. That's the thing with people that, some of the people, the members that we don't retain, like they come in and it's stressful and there's ritual and it's a little weird, and you just want to hang out with your friends. But once you get to you get through that stuff and there is fun out of it. And the same thing with state positions. It is stressful, but when I sit back after the first weekend of state master counselor, like the first DeMolay weekend where we're doing like a lead con or a grand master's class or something, and I'm packed up and I'm leaving for the weekend, I'm like, man, I planned that whole thing. Like I saw so many kids smile and like laugh and like drink like random energy drinks and eats and stuff. Like woohoo! Like good for them. I'm happy.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people might not see what goes in, but at the end of the day, we want to make them happy and get them the experience that we experienced as when we were younger.
Exactly.
And like you said earlier, you put in what you get out. Wait, you get out what you put in. And so you actually receive your Chevalier degree, which is the highest award any DeMolay can get, and that's just a huge honor. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And just how did you feel that moment?
I found out I got it in Kansas City. Actually, Dad Williams gave me like the letter there. Brother Altman and I actually were both standing there. He gave us both the letters when we opened them, and then he said, and then he tells me, he goes, Cade got his too. You get to call him and tell him. So I got to call Cade on the phone and tell him he got his Chevalier, and that was a really, really cool moment. That was absolutely awesome.
It's kind of like the three brothers just synced up and just,
Yeah. And just to know that you're voted on unanimously to get that award. Wow. With all the people in the international sector there. So it's a big, it's a step, especially just, I mean, to get it when I was the state national counselor and stuff. It meant a lot to me. So
Yeah, and on top that you were in Kansas City.
exactly, right. That week was a truly amazing week. I had so much fun.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't get the opportunity to run again if it's not a unanimous vote, right? Or you don't run for it. I mean, like you get
the
selected.
Chevalier.
For
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't think you. At least I didn't know. I don't think you know that you're put up for it, and I don't think you get another chance if you don't get voted unanimously. Yeah, I think you are correct.
Awesome. Well, that's for the future, right, Leonard? For us. Well,
and during like the ceremony, did you feel like nerve-wracking, or was it just kind of like this is surreal? Like
it was. Well, there was a lot of. I had it done in my home before. It was before our chapters moved to the other building, so it was one of the last things we did in that I got to do for DeMolay at that lodge, which was nice. But again, Cade got his with me. We had our ceremonies together, so it was really nice. Just he's been my brother in DeMolay for so long that he's, we get to do a lot of stuff together. So it was really nice to have him there. But I also had a lot of my friends came because it was one of the public ceremonies, and I said, hey, this is a really big thing for DeMolay. I'd love it if you guys came, and so they came and they got to see some stuff. So that was it was kind of nervous for me just because my friends hadn't really seen any DeMolay things before, and I had to give a speech in front of all those people. But during it, I was really just I was humbled of just all those people that were there and all the stuff that had come before me and that I'd seen come while I was around and stuff. So yeah, a little bit of both.
Interesting enough, two advisors of Knickerbocker chapter, they got it, right? And they're like, oh, I don't know if you know them, Dad Efren and Dad
Crespo and Dad
Calderon. I don't
Calderon,
know.
yes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So they got it and they're like, yeah, I got it. And I looked in the mail. This was a few months ago, right? I looked in the mail and apparently I got it too. But when you bring up your ceremony, that makes me like kind of nervous for whenever I have it. Because right now during COVID, when we don't know when we're gonna get it.
Exactly.
And yeah, but definitely something you make me look forward for. And a funny story. You have your ring?
Yeah, did you guys get the ring?
No, but you got a ring, right?
I don't have a ring.
Why? It's on the DeMolay shop. You should get it. It's so.
You have to buy one. I'm pretty sure you have to buy it.
Yeah, you have to buy it.
If you don't have to buy it, I got gypped. But I'm pretty sure you have to buy it separate if you want a ring.
Well,
I looked into getting one. I looked into it. I just haven't got it yet.
Oh well, I'll tell you a funny story. So I have mine here, right? But the thing is,
right?
They asked me what size ring I was, and I measured it, and I was like, Mom, what size should I put? Should I put like the smaller, like fitted one? Should I make it like a little oversized just in case I grow into it? She was like, make it a little bigger, I guess. So I go like, it goes from 9.5, 10. So I'm like, okay, I was a perfect 9, I guess. So I went to 9.5. And then like a few weeks later, I get an email from them. They're like, oh, we don't have a 9.5. Does 10 work? And at that point, I forgot that I already went a size up. So I was just like, yeah, 10 works. I get it. My thumb literally just. So when you get your ring, just
make sure
careful.
To not size up.
Yeah, but funny things like that are things that all DeMolays will eventually understand if they get their Chevaliers.
It's so boss because when Austin at his convention, this was during COVID, and we did the in-person ritual in the Grand Lodge, and just seeing him with the chev ring, it's like the Irishman. You know the movie Irishman? Yeah, it's just like only 3 people got these ring. I was like, yo, that's so cool. And he wore it on his pinky too. That was so boss, man.
And there's swords, right? They have swords that go like this on their shoulders, or is that a different thing?
No, you get
the crown.
No, you get knighted for the chev.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, there's a pretty good picture of Cade and I kneeling on next to each other.
Well, when we have the ceremony, you're invited, Sam. Just saying.
Amazing. I'd love to be there.
And I just think that like what you said, Sam, is just like when all the master counselors and all those that receive the Chev is just around you and you're receiving your Chev. It's like surreal. Like, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Parts.
But so like you know the concept where like the chosen one, right? And there's like other chosen.
Of course. Yeah.
So, and like he sees his past like lives, and it's just like imagine there and seeing like all those before you chosen ones. That's what I thought of. It's just like it's surreal. It's amazing.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
That is a really interesting way. But I like it. It made a nice picture in my head.
Yeah. Okay. But Sam, I want to know a little bit more about. Of course, this podcast stemmed from us not being able to, go outside to see each other, right? So, what does a normal day for Sam Levin during quarantine look like?
Oh, okay. Well, am I working or am I not working? If I work, I go to work. I get up and I'm into work by 9 o'clock. And I go through my day at work, turn stuff on, turn stuff off. Yeah, it's actually really interesting. There's it's cool to learn how museums work, and like all the exhibits and where they hide computers and stuff. So that's interesting. I've learned a lot by working there. But after that, I'll just come home. I eat dinner with my family, and then I'm just chilling. Even though we're in COVID times here, I have a few friends that I have a little bubble that I'll hang out with a friend or two here and there. But and I get to do stuff with my siblings. I bring my sister to hockey practice and stuff sometimes. But other than that, I'm really just chilling at home most of the time. On my days off and stuff, I've been finding a lot of trails and stuff. I use this app called All Trails. And they have like all these different trails and stuff mapped up with the difficulty, and you can go and search for the length and stuff. I don't know. It's a really cool app. And I look for trails and stuff, and I'll go for walks and hikes. And once it gets warmer out, I'll be outside a lot more. That's been benefiting me. And as I've already mentioned, I got a little messed up skiing that one time, so I'm going to stay away from that for a little bit.
Yeah, with walking and hiking, it's good to just, get back into the rhythm of it. You'll be skiing in no time.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. Okay.
I need to get out of this concrete jungle. I want to go camping and hiking, man.
I needed to get away, even though I'm not even in the concrete jungle. I needed to get away. I road tripped to Colorado actually, which was a really great time. I got to see so much stuff, but that's another thing I've been up to.
Did you hike there as well?
I'm thinking of, did I hike there? No, I took a car. Yes, I did hike there. We went up to, I was in Grand Junction. It's on the other side of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. And there's the Colorado National Monument there, and it's a lot of red rocks. And I mean, I saw like mountain goat stuff, so like a little bit, and there's a lot of little weird little shrubs. It's almost deserty, but it's absolutely amazing.
Wow. So is there, during quarantine, we learn a lot of stuff. You realize a lot of stuff. Is there anything in particular that you learned during quarantine that you never knew? Maybe you see something differently?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I feel like everybody's been seeing a little bit differently. For me, I've kind of been in a little bit of like a holding pattern, like with a lot of things I'm doing, just working at the museum while I'm in quarantine. I'm just trying to make some money right now to possibly do. I'm looking about going to school and taking some classes just to get an associate's degree for now. But another thing I'm looking at is doing some windmill stuff, working on windmill turbines. So that's really interesting. I'm getting off topic, but
no, that's amazing.
The lessons I've learned really were about those things is it like the time right now. We're in a weird spot with it. it's just I have time to experience like the things that I want to experience. I don't have to rush through it. Because I really was just when I was going to school, I was really getting anxious and stressed out about a lot of stuff, and I needed to take a little bit of a break. So that's what I'm doing, and it's really helped me with the quarantine and everything. Just realizing that I have time to do what I want to do, and I just need to take a deep breath and kind of relax a little bit.
And you're definitely right. Like as Brian said in his question about perspective, you learn and realize so many things. You know, as for you, you're a young adult, and you know you're kind of like you said, everything's slowing down for you because you're so stressed and just it's calm for you now. But on the contrary, a lot of young people, like say high schoolers that are coming to college, they're just like, what's going on? You know, I'm going into my young adult life, and it's all online. It's all in a weird place, so it's like hectic, you know, for them.
Right.
Well, at least the stories I've heard, it's quite odd.
That's what I was dealing with. Was I right when I got sent home for quarantine when COVID kicked up last March? I was dealing with a lot. I couldn't do the online stuff. It was really difficult for me. But with the perspective, I really think that for that, like for me, it made me realize that okay, the online stuff right then it was too much for me. I really couldn't do it right then. But that's just, I mean, that's my perspective, and there's a lot of people that are getting through it. And I mean, we're talking the lessons we learned to quarantine. That's another big thing for me was perspective, because everybody's got their own little thing, and sometimes I think we get so ingrained in thinking our own little worlds in some places that we forget that all these other people are doing stuff.
Yeah, and we're not out with other people, so we're just like that kind of connections quite severed, and it's just all online, and you know it's just a weird connection. You know, it's something just so
right. New. Yeah, I mean, we're connected, but it's nice to talk to you guys, but I mean, I'd like to give you guys a hug if I could,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, I want to like dap you up,
It'd be much different if we were all in person, and I think that's a big barrier that we get back, because we're social creatures, right? Like we like to hang out and interact.
That'd be a great like podcast setting if we're all together. The boom mics, and we get like a table. We got a neon sign.
Yes.
Let's go.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
And ask the next state master counselor to set aside some money for a podcast.
Who's the next state master counselor?
I wonder who. Maybe it's Robin. Robin.
Oh,
Center.
Robin. Oh
Robin
yeah,
Center.
because you can definitely jump. Oh, who do you think?
All I have to say is as a TSMC, I don't think, I know there's a conference room in the DeMolay office with a big table and some chairs. You could maybe rig up with a camera or something. I think there might be a camera in there for video conferencing.
You can get the couch in there too.
Look into that.
We can get your couch.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Maybe not. Possibly not.
I don't know.
Probably not.
I'm on the third floor of my house. They put dents in the wall to get this couch up here. I don't think I'm gonna put more in there to get it out.
Yeah, sorry to break it to you, Leonard.
We'll get a new couch. I'm thinking like it's black leather. You know, it's I don't know. Like those couches are kind of expensive new, so we get it used. You know,
used. Yeah.
Or if we're budgeting, we could get foldable chairs, a foldable table, portable mic.
For sure.
Portable
everything, and then you can do them, and then you can bring the podcast to parks and stuff too.
Yeah,
right?
You can do it anywhere on top of like a tree.
Podcast on the go.
Oh yeah, so maybe whoever the next state master counselor is, we'll let them know. Let's see. We're coming towards the end of the podcast, but Sam, we want the younger people to know, the younger young men that are watching. If you had to give them a word of advice as they grow up in DeMolay or as they grow up, in life, what are those few things you would tell them?
I mean, oh man, I really should have saved you get out of it what you put into it, because that's really what I like to say, because like I said earlier, it still applies in my life now. I mean, even if I'm just working at the museum right now, or I'm doing, or you're going to school, or you're doing DeMolay, or whatever you're doing, you do get out of it what you put into it, and it's not. I feel like people think of that as like kind of limited in some sense, like, oh, it might be more material, like you can only get out of it what you put into it, but it's really like, to me it speaks a little bit more to like sometimes the emotional sense of it all. Like you really get out of it what you put into it. Like if I put all the love and happiness that I have into DeMolay, and that's what I got back from all the boys or all the young men when when I would go to events that I planned and see everyone having a great time. That's the you get out of it what you put into it, to me. And I mean it goes with everything else in the rest of my life. Like even if I'm just going for a hike, like if I'm walking around all sad, that's what I'm gonna get out of it. So might as well walk around all happy. But I don't know. It's just, that's my little life philosophy lesson for everyone. Really just put into it what you want, and you'll get it back.
Awesome. And I want,
actually no, I'm not gonna go because I do my philosophical rants. Go ahead, Brian.
well, I want to unless you have anything else to say, I want to sort of end it off there, but I want to keep a tradition of podcasts asking them at the end, hey Sam, what's your favorite color?
Oh man, my favorite color is green, but like a deep dark green. Here,
Deep, like an olive green?
Look at that.
Okay, I have this totem pole kind of thing that my grandpa made. It's like this type of green.
Like
That's
like forest green, right?
like a deep forest green. Yeah.
All right.
Also, I want to show this.
Well, there you go. It is pretty. All right. Other than that, Sam, we want to thank you so much for being the very first person on this New York DeMolay podcast. This is a new experience for me and Leonard, as we're testing the grounds of this, licking the air, licking our what? we're testing everything, but we're glad you got to help us along the way, and we want to thank you for helping us as well.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
You, and you guys did a very good job.
Thank you.
And I'm glad. I'm really excited to see how this turns out in the future episodes. So great job.
Yeah, we'll
literally just brainstorm ideas on how to you're part of this now, Sam.
I'll be part of it.
Awesome. Yeah. So for those of you that made it here to the end of the podcast, thank you. We hope you learned a lot from Sam. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram, NY DeMolay. Brother Leonard, why don't you end us off? Brother Sam, why don't you end us off?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever it is. We'll see you guys next time from Brian and Leonard. Goodbye.
All right. Peace.